Hello, everybody. So, it has literally taken me about 3 months to calm down enough to make a video about how Blizzard has literally crossed the line. I want you guys to read this and for a minute. So I'm just going to leave it up. I'm also going to look for something here because this is like I always do highlights of my videos. This is a screenshot. In fact, the screenshot's a little off here. There we go. Oh, it's still off. Oh, it doesn't matter. This is a screenshot of a message that I got last week, and it's in. It's sort of in one of my videos, or like a 5-minute video I had. I may not actually put it up. It was just a 5-minute video where I got an achievement. I don't know. Anyway, I definitely had to edit that particular video because I was swearing at the on the video. I still hadn't calmed down that much. So anyway, yeah, I want you guys to focus on the wording of this. Reread it a few times and see if you can figure out what I'm going to be talking about. So I want you to pay attention to the phrasing of this. Hate speech, including negative comments that target another player's identity, including aspects like race, gender, or ability. I want you to focus on that real quick. And or ability. This includes, with their new enforcement laws, if you say anything, and I mean anything, about somebody, quote, sucking, or you're not a good player, it is now considered hate speech. In addition to that, Blizzard considers anybody when they target another player's identity. Notice that they said that identity. If you say you hate somebody, it is now considered hate speech. They've been sort of doing this for a while on the message boards. They refer to it as hate speech when it's not hate speech. Now, there's a larger debate about whether or not Blizzard's enforcement is too stringent, etc., etc., etc. And I'm not going to say that I haven't rightfully been warned for blowing off my top at somebody who's a piece of trash. But there is a difference between being properly warned and a company suddenly saying, you're telling somebody they suck, so that's hate speech. It's not hate speech. I'll show you what hate speech is. This is the definition for hate speech. Let me reduce this a bit. This is what actual hate speech is. Now, hate speech is in the United States protected by the First Amendment. We do that because, now I'm not going to say Blizzard has to say that. Don't jump to conclusions here. I know some of you are probably saying, a corporation is not part of the First Amendment. First Amendment, blah, blah, blah. Government agencies, prosecution, blah, blah. Yeah, I know all that. I'm a big proponent of the First Amendment in terms of government laws, etc. And that is because of prosecutorial reasons. And this is the very, very short reason why First Amendment protects hate speech, is that once you outlaw all forms... Oh, that's from me. Sorry, guys. That little beep is from me. Mute tab. Sorry, I have Discord up. Once you outlaw hate speech of any kind, you run into the situation that you have here with Blizzard. Only much worse. It means that the government can now protect people who target people based off of their, ethnic heritage, which is a more specific definition than identity. If you attack somebody's religious or ethnic identity, it is hate speech, not just normal identity. And the reason why there's a huge difference to that is ethnic, religious, whatever identity is the identity that you are based off of your ancestry and social / religious group. Regular identity is somebody who works in IT down in the basement of the building. That's regular identity. Regular identity is not, it's just a job description. Or it's so-and-so who lives off of Mockingbird Lane, right? Or so-and-so who lives in Denver. That's a normal identity. That's not a protected aspect of identity. And that's a very legal. It's a legal distinction. It's a distinction that has been made over and over and over and over in court. So when Blizzard says that when you target a player's identity, that literally means any fucking thing about them. It's not specific. And if you're saying, oh, well, Kevin, you have to actually say something that's hate speech related. hate speech related. This is hate speech related. It is things like Goebbels saying that all Jews are cockroaches, right? That's hate speech. That's horrible. That, or mongrel race, that is hate speech. It's identifying people of an ancestry and or religion, because the Nazis went after both, right? They went after ancestry, genetic impurities, religions, in their words. I clearly do not believe in any of that. I do not believe that there's any such thing as genetic impurities. I think that is a reprehensible and disgusting thing. That's why I'm making this video. Hate speech is the idea that there's something called a genetic impurity. And if you're one of those people that thinks that genetic impurity is a reality, you can go right fuck off. Right? So, the reason why hate speech is protected in the U.S. is that if somebody like a Nazi were in charge, and I said Nazis are pieces of trash, because that's a political ideology in that somebody chooses, right? And I say they're a piece of trash because they believe in genetic impurities. Then a Nazi will... Sorry, I'm moving things around because I'm trying to not scream. So I'm trying to distract my tendency to go into expletive-laden tirades. If hate speech were outlawed and I said Nazis hate people because they say, Jewish population, Jewish people, because they are genetically impure mongrel race, I would literally be prosecuted, because what I said was hate speech, even though I'm repeating what the Nazis believe. And a Nazi would be sitting there saying, you said hate speech. You're being prosecuted. So they would say that on two things. One is that I would be saying something which is untrue and hateful. Even though I'm saying Nazis are saying it, I'm actually discussing it. I'm discussing why Nazis are bad. And before you say, oh, no, that's not what hate speech laws do. That's exactly what hate speech laws do. It's exactly what shit like that has actually gone on in the UK. Shit like that actually has gone on periodically. You'll find stuff like that going on in Germany. Whether it's a video game where it shows somebody killing Nazis being banned in Germany, or whether it is trying to discuss why the German party, far right-wing German party, the AfD, I believe is what it's called, the abbreviation, is a hateful organization. You have to be really, really careful or you get really fucked in Germany. And it's exactly what's going on with Blizzard right now. And I'll show you. This is when I said to an MVP in the message boards, I said, I hate you because you misquote people. And, that's actually exactly what my thing says, except I can't find a copy of it. I hate you because you MVPs constantly misquote people and attack them. Like if I talk about something, if I criticize something in the game, an MVP will be sent over by Blizzard, or they'll be sent a message and I know some of them deny this, and yet there have been MVPs in the past that have put out emails saying, "Oh no, I was told to look at this," or they sent a message. So an MVP is basically like an unofficial enforcement of Blizzard. So I know some people debate that and say that, oh, past emails weren't true. I'm inclined to believe that sometimes a Blizzard employee will send a message to an MVP, or an MVP will see it and they'll feel obligated to act as a white knight on Blizzard's defense. So I said, I hate you MVPs because whenever you quote me, you misquote me, or you take one sentence out and you attack me when you didn't even actually read my post. And I'm not going to identify the MVP because that might be considered a violation of the rules. This individual who's using an account which in the past has been identified as an AI respondent for customer service said that there's a difference between I don't like you and I hate you. I didn't say I hate you most. Oh, wait, no, I did. I said I hate you most of all the MVPs. That's right, I did say that. I like you and I hate you most. So they're identifying using the word hate, even though I hate that MVP. And they have a history of causing problems on the board for players. I got suspended because I said hate. They called it trolling, even though what I said was factual because that MVP had misquoted me on the message boards. And I told them, I hate you most of all because you constantly do this. And this is exactly what you did in this post. That was what I said. Anyone else on the message boards are allowed to tell other people that they hate them. But if you say, I hate you to an MVP, you get suspended. So they basically identified it as hate speech because they said there's a difference between I don't like you and I hate you. So we're suspending you because you were trolling. I wasn't trolling. I was stating I hate you because you did this. I do hate them because they did that. They don't talk about the MVP who misquotes people and harasses them. They do talk about me because I said I hate them. They never, ever, ever suspend anybody else on the message board for telling other people that they hate them. I know I've tried to report them, and I've been told repeatedly in past tickets, we're not going to warn them because we can't force someone to like someone else. That's always their response. I was not inciting hate against Blizzard. I was stating Blizzard could afford to hire CMs. That was actually what my post was about. Now, before you say, oh, well, it doesn't qualify as hate speech. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, this one. Remember that one. I got my tickets a little mixed up here. This one, I was suspended because I threatened to report another player in chat. I'll tell you what happened. The player was going off on pejoratives, racial, and other pejoratives. And I said, that's it. I'm reporting you. That was one instance. Another instance was where I told someone who was, and I have a video of it, and you can find it in my videos, where I told this a-hole, they popped into my arena, said, I'm reporting you for throwing because you're a paladin in arena. If you look at my other videos, you will find that video pretty easily because I labeled it. I told him, I'm going to report you. I got warned because I told him I'm going to report you for filing a false report against me and for threatening me. I got suspended. By the way, it looks like that prick was a character that was used by a member of Blizzard's staff, because that a-hole somehow managed to get into a couple of battlegrounds with me. I would queue up, and then there would be nobody else in the, he would queue up. I mean, the other queues in the party didn't exist until like 30 seconds after I queued up, and then that individual popped into the battleground. Threatening to report other players in chat. So you can't even tell somebody that you're going to report them for improper behavior. You will be suspended. And this was after I said, you people didn't send me any details. I sent about 8 tickets before this a-hole responded. And then they refused. There's nothing in these policies. Oh, did this guy not even post it? Oh my God, did they delete it? Maybe it was in another post. Does this one have solar autons in it? No. Oh wait, that's not the right. Oh, I don't want whole world words. Oh, there's only one here. I don't think that they would have deleted the ticket because they're too brazen about this. This is the wrong ticket. I needed to get that. Anyway, I never used. Okay, so Solar Autons responded in one of my past tickets. I'm going to see if I can find it. And they said, I used hate speech and discriminatory language. I didn't, though. What they're referring to is this. Where they said, I hate you the most. So they have now equated Blizzard employees with victims of hate speech. Almost all hate speech laws are derivative of targeting Nazis. So they have indicated that MVPs are now a protected class of people. And if you say anything about them, such as being MVPs, anything derogatory, or being upset with them, you are talking about hate speech and you are committing hate speech and discriminatory language violations. Obscene or disruptive language. What exactly is disruptive language? Obscene language, yeah, telling someone to fuck off is obscene. Disruptive language? What is that? They've already extended hate speech to be anyone's identity. Right here. A player's identity. What do they call disruptive language? They don't actually have a definition for that. And if you look here, oh yeah, this one never told me about, or never gave me information on how to submit a request for all of the stuff that they have on my account. And this is me trying to get a response, and then they don't. They say the penalty has already been upheld. So this is the problem. This is inappropriate. First of all, they refuse to respond to my requests. As an internet service provider, and that means, or a service provider, that operates business through an internet, if you are a paying customer, it is a federal requirement that any action taken against your account, they must provide detailed explanations. They have to give you an example of what you said or did. They can't just say, we're warning you, we've reviewed it internally. That's not legal. And I have had to send all kinds of tickets to these people in order to get them to respond. They're using AI to respond to people. It took me a while to figure that out. And it was only after I threatened to report them that they actually responded, because they are not allowed to do that. Okay, I was dead. This is when I was being harassed by a guy who was saying, you're not doing anything, because I was in a graveyard. Idiot. Yeah, okay. I called him an idiot in response. Mentally, emotionally, I was dealing with him calling me an idiot. That is a violation. I get that. And there's another point I'm going to make about how stringent these rules are is actually harmful, mentally harmful to the player base. They didn't take any action on that guy who was screaming at people. There are ways for me to check that. Ways that don't violate TOS or anything else like that. So they are in violation of federal law regarding some of those things. This is, by the way, I'm quoting what was sent to me. So I must have lost. I must have accidentally closed the window on that ticket where that guy sent. He quoted all of this as a violation. This is not a violation. But he said that all of that's a violation right here. And that's when they referred to the spam. So normal conversation is now considered spam, and you'll be reported. This, I'm recording it, you prick. That was my response. All of these videos, by the way, are on my YouTube. I'm recording it, you prick. Calling him a prick, warnable. But not only is me calling him a prick warnable, me telling him... No, that's it. Me telling him, I'm already reporting you. This was this gamer, end quote, gamer, end quote, who was literally throwing the game and bragging about it in chat. At no point was his account ever suspended. You know. So they're allowed to harm people and harass people, but if you tell them that you are reporting them for throwing, when they brag about it, you get warned. Violation, prick. That's one violation. Telling somebody that you're reporting them for violating the rules should never be considered a reportable offense. The fact that Blizzard is suspending people for doing that is a gross and disgusting policy. In addition to Blizzard saying that anybody who works for them, if they're insulted or told that they're incompetent, that it's hate speech. Equating their own employees with the suffrage of people in Rwanda during the Rwandan massacre, or Jews or gays or anyone else who suffered from the Nazis, saying, our employees, if you tell them they're incompetent, because that would be attacking their ability, or if you tell them that you hate them, that is hate speech, just like when the Nazis went after the Jewish people, and we're going to go after you. That is probably the most offensive and repulsive thing that I have seen Blizzard do since the Bill Cosby room. This is when I was making a joke, and you'll find this in my Battleground PvP thing. This guy, somebody reported me when somebody says, "Okay, Paladin, what are you going to do?" And I said, "I'm going to dance and allure them with my feminine wiles because I have a female character. Then murder them all." That is apparently also hate speech, by the way. Saying I'm going to murder a player versus the opponent team in a player versus player battleground. That right there. And they cited it. This was when somebody was screaming at me, telling me that I was throwing the game because I was playing PvP with a paladin character. That was the context of that communication. That's warnable. All right, called him an idiot. Warnable. I called him an idiot. You're not a smart person. Apparently, because I said that they are not smart when they were going off on this tirade. In fact, oh God. If you go to my videos and you find this particular one, the video isn't recorded by date now. That's also why I have the new date stamp on my videos, so people can, and so it's easier to find them. You're not a smart person. The guy was calling everybody stupid, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I guess that's warnable. And that's warnable. So 4 warnables, I get that. That is legitimate. This, however, is not spam. It's part of regular communication. This is not hate speech. But they grabbed it all and still put this in order to fluff up the report to justify extending the suspension. So they will take an actual violation and everything around it to fluff it up. Yeah. Right here. Here, abusive chat or inappropriate names or ongoing harassment. Me, see, ongoing harassment. I still can't figure out anything that was ongoing harassment. I was responding to somebody who was harassing me. And then they refused to respond and they refused to give me the full thing. Let me see if I can find this. This is 427. Let me see if there's a ticket right before 427 that I can find. View archive tickets. Let me see, 427. All right. Is this Solaritons? Oh, this was merged. They merged it with another ticket. Yeah, I think they got rid of that guy who responded to me. I think they got rid of his response. Let's see here, 427. Let me see here. Wow. I can't. Wow. Now I can't access it. They removed it. Did they remove it? Is it here? No, that's the other one. They removed Solaraton's response. It was in here. Let's see here. See, this is not... Oh, wait, no, here it is. Oh, there's one of the Solarton's responses, but not the other one. So, 926. Right, let's see here. Yeah. They removed it. I thought I had it in here. See, because you saw me responding to Solarton. So, these guys not only added something in here that wasn't legitimate, or a number of things in here that wasn't legitimate, but when I responded to them for putting that illegitimate complaint in, see, dear Solartons, they deleted Solarton's response. It was a belligerent response, too. I should have taken a screenshot. They said, do I need to go on, is how he ended it. So let's also go over here. This is a major study that came out. Now, obviously people have to protect other people from online. And I'm not saying that me calling somebody, an idiot is a good thing. And I did clearly violate a couple of regulations. Calling somebody an idiot, telling somebody to F off, calling someone a prick. There are a couple times where I didn't realize I did, and I did. I'm sure you guys have seen that. That's because that's how I deal with somebody being a prick or an a-hole. Right? Yeah, I shouldn't be saying that. So I'm not going to argue that it's good. But I am going to argue that by elevating their employees to the status of a protected identity, like a Jewish person during the Nazi Holocaust. And you'll notice that I specify the Nazi Holocaust because there have been other Holocausts in the history of humankind. Whether or not some people want to recognize it is immaterial. Burning people alive constitutes that definition. What went on in Rwanda was horrendous. And it was a form of Holocaust. So that's why I always specify the Nazi Holocaust. So if you ever have any questions about that, it's not because I'm diminishing anybody. It's because I think that people need to start recognizing it more when it does happen. So this is the full time thing about this. So not only is Blizzard elevating their employees to the same status as people who are targeted, like the Jewish people during World War II, or people who are mentally or physically disabled. Nazis went after them too. Or people who are LGBT, Nazis went after them too. People who spoke out against the Nazis, Nazis went after them too. They have elevated using the word idiot or swearing to a permanent escalatory punishment against players. Now, should someone be suspended or warned for calling somebody else an idiot? Given how many times I've used that word, you might be surprised for me to say, yeah, these probably should. My argument is the escalatory punishment that never decays is inappropriate because it further mentally damages its employee base, player base, and further pushes players away from World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft has now about, what is it? Maybe it was in February. I think they had about 1.5 active players in that month. Something like that. And I don't mean active characters. What I mean is active players. Players who logged in to play. It's going to get a little bit bigger, maybe 3 million during the summer. We're talking about a game where 24 years ago, it had 17 million players. World of Warcraft claimed they had 25, but it was really 17 million active players. Maybe, I mean, and people try and say, well, 10 million of them were Chinese gold farmers. No, they weren't. They weren't at all. That would not be a profitable that would not be a profitable business model for gold farmers if 10 million of them were gold farmers. You know, half the player base was not gold farmers. You know, and that's basically a racist statement. You know, Chinese gold farmers. Well, first of all, there were gold farmers everywhere. The vast majority of them were not in China. Like a quarter of them were in the U.S. and were white bread, milky toast players who were trying to make rent half the time. You know. So this is the full report here. This is a scientific study that disproves everything that people say about harming people. If somebody is attacking me, harassing me, and Blizzard isn't doing anything about it, and I say, dude, leave me alone, you fucking idiot. Or leave me alone, you idiot. And Blizzard refuses to take the situation in context. Should I be warned? Well, whether or not Blizzard takes it into context, yeah, okay. Should the other guy definitely be warned for harassment, pushing me mentally to the point where I'm dealing with somebody screaming at me, yelling at me, berating me, and I say, shut up, you idiot. That's my natural, healthy reaction, is to say, shut up, you idiot. The unhealthy reaction is Blizzard saying, we're going to escalate your punishment by 2 more weeks. Should I be silenced? Maybe suspended for a day? Yeah. That asshole, complete and total utter asshole, who is berating me and going after me, he's the one who should get the 2 weeks. He shouldn't be given a free pass. As far as people say, well, how do you know if they're given a free pass? Well, a guy dropped like 4 or 5 different F-bombs and never once got suspended from play during the same period that I was suspended from play. Blizzard's response is actually directly harming the player base. Researchers have found that profanity can have beneficial effects on a person's stress, anxiety, and depression. And I'm just talking about calling someone an idiot. And I really have tried to dial back the F word and calling somebody prick, etc. I really have. If you've looked at my past videos, you will say, yeah, Kevin, well, we understand you actually have made progress. And then kind of like shake their head at me. So my position is that the escalatory punishments, while refusing to go after people who are harassing other people, is a big problem. I've already started generating a list of people I believe are Blizzard employees. Stuff like that would not have been tolerated in Blizzard 15 years ago or 10 years ago. Ever since their new employment shuffle, their employee shuffle, their restructuring. They've gotten people in Blizzard who have directly allowed people who are on Blizzard's payroll to do crap like follow somebody in the game. Or when I go after an MVP on the message boards and say, you keep misrepresenting, misquoting, lying about what people are saying, they are protecting the MVPs for doing that, which in itself is trolling and harassment, what the MVPs are doing. And then telling players that they are committing hate crimes and hate speech for saying, I hate you, MVPs. Just saying the word hate does not elevate anything to hate speech. So I want you guys to remember this site. What hate crime is, what hate speech is. This is a reality. This is the American Library Association. The reason why I quoted this one is it has probably the best, because it's librarians. Librarians know shit. It's probably the best site that discusses hate speech. I'm not going to quote legal definitions because those vary from country to country, and they don't actually get to the heart of the situation. This does, because librarians are not 9 times out of 10, but 3 out of 5 librarians are amazing researchers. The other 2 are idiots who got a job for the summer. This is an incredible site that gives you all sorts of resources and everything else about hate speech and everything. This is why I quoted this site. Just remember, Blizzard now considers its employees part of the player identity. And if you say anything derogatory about them, you're committing hate speech. Blizzard has a real friggin' problem. And whoever made this decision needs to be fired. 50 minutes about me going into Blizzard's policy. And to sum up, if you skip to the end, here's the problem. Blizzard now considers its employees part of a player's identity, and any comments that target their identity, such as their employment, is now considered hate speech. Blizzard wiped a response from Solaritons where they said something incredibly stupid to me, where they actually identified me saying to someone on an MVP on the message board that I hate them most of all of the MVPs. They said that I was committing hate speech, etc. They also quoted that back and forth where, which is what I discussed over here at some point. Oh, wait, no. This is the same ticket now. Now I'm on the same ticket. Anyway, you get the idea. Go back and watch the video. I'm not going to go over it. But have I violated some policies? Yeah, I have. I mean, I deserve to be smacked around sometimes. Called somebody a prick or whatever. Yeah, I shouldn't be doing that. Blizzard is allowing people who harass players get out of jail free cards, likely because they may or may not be employed by Blizzard or have some sort of deal with them. One particular individual kept popping into battlegrounds wherever I went, specifically to target me. I've got videos of that. So yeah, Blizzard's escalatory reactions toward any sort of profanity, violating what research has already proven, directly harming people in ways. And Blizzard basically comparing their employees to people who suffered under the Rwandan genocide and Holocaust and the Nazi genocide and Holocaust is reprehensible and disgusting. So Blizzard has gone from a reasonable position, in which about 15 years ago they had a reasonable position of warning people, and then it decays over time to escalation and considering their employees a protected status individual, or if you say anything against them, it's hate speech. That is absolutely disgusting. I'm not saying that people should get away with dropping the F-bomb. Absolutely not. And I mean, that includes me. That definitely includes me. What I'm saying is that their approach to the situation requires a response, and that response is that whomever's making these decisions needs to be fired. Anyway, that's what happened. That's my opinion of Blizzard right now. Their enforcement. You literally can't say anything in the game. And Blizzard wonders why it has no player base at this point. You know, EverQuest is actually starting to gain more players, regular players, on their servers. They're going to catch up to Blizzard pretty soon. And that was the game that inspired World of Warcraft. That was the game where Blizzard, Teagle and Führer, Jeff Kaplan and I forget who the name of the guy who played Führer, and Chris Metzen, they were attacking the stupidity of people in EverQuest, and they made World of Warcraft, and they one of them said some derogatory comment about the creator of EverQuest, saying, "We thank him most of all for inspiring us to make a better game." Right? Some nasty. EverQuest is actually starting to catch up, and they haven't had any sort of graphical upgrade at all since Shadows of Luclin or Luclin. In Final Fantasy 16, you have to have proof that the person you're reporting is actually violating terms of service. Otherwise, you get fined for false reporting. Blizzard isn't regulating any of that. They are just going whole hog, 90 miles per hour into attacking everyone with their player unfriendly terms of service, calling their own employees protected status individuals who can be, or if you say anything against them, you will be found guilty of hate speech. That's what's disgusting. And then they delete responses in tickets. Solaraton's response has vanished because what he said was incredibly stupid. And somebody realized it. But they're not going to admit it. They're just going to continue their actions in ways that are anti-player and anti-consumer. But this whole hate speech thing, that's what's really got me pissed off. Warn me for calling somebody an idiot. Warn me for telling somebody, dropping an F-bomb. It should still decay. They should still consider all situations. As having somebody constantly harass me, even having somebody pop in to where I am to harass me and yell at me, threaten me. They don't do anything to that individual, but they will get me when I respond to them. I'm going to report you. Oh no, I told a Blizzard employee who's pretending to be a player that I'm going to report them. I'm evil. Because all Blizzard employees are protected status individuals, and if you say anything against them, it is hate speech. And I'm actual living proof. These tickets are actual proof. These tickets are actual proof that is exactly what they're doing. It's outrageous. Thank you very much for this TED Talk. Have a wonderful day.